The Burning opens at Camp Blackfoot. A group of campers are planning on pulling a prank on the camp's caretaker, Cropsey. They take a fake skull, put worms on it, and candles in the eye sockets. The skull is placed next to his bed when he's asleep. Cropsey wakes up, startled, and knocks the skull over. By accident, Cropsey's cabin is set on fire, with him being badly burned. 5 years later, Cropsey is released from the hospital. He grabs a pair of garden shears and heads to a camp, Camp Stonewater. There, he begins to terrorize the campers and counselors until they have no other choice but to stand their ground and fight. The Burning was essentially another slasher film that tried to capitalize on the success of previous films like Halloween and Friday the 13th. Yet, it developed a legacy all of its own. It featured talents early in their careers, the effects are improved compared to Friday the 13th, and it has a unique soundscape. During the post-Nazis period, The Burning was passed in 1992 with 19 seconds cut. In 2001, the film was released without cuts. Most of the cuts were from the infamous raft sequence. Oddly enough, this was the one that made it onto the prosecution list, while the likes of Friday the 13th and Friday the 13th Part 2 were only filed under Section 3. I'm sure the difference of having a major studio like Paramount back in a film as opposed to an independent venture was pretty much the case for this happening. The Burning was the first film produced by Miramax Films, with a young Harvey Weinstein producing. They would go on to produce noted films like Pulp Fiction, The Crying Game, Clerks, and Shakespeare in Love. This film, while a simple horror film, paved the way for the company's more ambitious projects, among other things. In the career of director Tony Maylam, The Burning stands out in the midst of a career of documentaries. Yet it was these documentaries that caught the eyes of the Weinstein brothers. He also directed the sci-fi horror thriller Split Second with Rutger Hauer. With The Burning, Maylam was able to match the quality of its competitors. Tom Savini agreed to work on The Burning instead of Friday the 13th Part 2. It was out of his belief that there should never have been a Jason Voorhees that goes around killing teens. He was merely joking when he suggested the Carrie-like ending for the original Friday the 13th. Here, Savini shows how quickly he improved in his craft for the slasher genre. The applications and blood are more believable. The raft scene is an inspired display of savagery and murder. Yes keyboardist Rick Wakeman made the music score. The synth score is a nice change from the symphonic offerings of Harry Manfredini. Wakeman's work is closer to the music for Phantasm. He does a great job of balancing the mix of a summer teen film with an 80s slasher. The cast features a lot of young talent before they were famous. Jason Alexander, Fisher Stevens, and Holly Hunter stand out among the cast. The Burning may not measure up as much as the likes of Friday the 13th or other entries in the 80s slasher genre, but it's fine on its own. A good music score, a fresh cast of talent, and the effects by Tom Savini help make it stand on its own.